Last night, I got the idea to sculpt one of those Danish butter cookie tins, but then I realized that I've never actually seen those cookies, so I'm gonna sculpt the realistic version, which of course is the one sitting on a shelf at your grandma's house. Maybe I'm delusional, but I feel like this isn't gonna be that hard to make. I might regret saying that. So I'm gonna start by making the two main pieces for the tin. I'm gonna use one of these pieces for the actual container and the other for the top cover or lid. Yeah, that's what it's called, the lid. And for the sides of the container, I kind of want to try to wrap clay around the exact same cutter that I used to cut out those circles. I feel like it'll hold it in that shape better. We're gonna see. We're gonna find out. I have these pieces of paper that I cut out so I could kind of gauge how tall this tin is gonna be. So I'm just gonna use these to cut out the actual pieces. Actually, before cutting out that second piece, I'm just gonna go ahead and try to wrap this around the cutter. I kind of wanted to make the top piece ever so slightly bigger so that I can lay on top of the bottom one. Maybe I should start with the bottom piece then, because I kind of want to try to wrap the bottom piece inside of the cutter, which is probably gonna be harder to do. So I think I'll start with that. I don't know if this makes any sense, but I want to line the side pieces inside and outside of the cutter. It's cramping so bad. Ow. Okay, I'm gonna wrap the top piece around this now. I've wrapped clay around cutters and like metal objects before, and it's pretty easy to get off after baking, but this is the first time that I've ever wrapped anything on the inside of an object, so that's probably gonna be a little bit more difficult to remove. I'm gonna go ahead and pre-bake these so that I can actually see if this is working. And I'm literally just gonna put this whole thing like this in the oven. All right, so while this was in the oven, the inner polymer clay piece slightly separated from the metal. There's a little gap there. On one hand, that'll make this a lot easier to take off of the metal. Oh, yep, super easy. On the other hand, I'm not so certain this is a perfect circle anymore. I mean, it's not bad. Let me take off the second piece and then we'll reassess. I'm able to slightly pull the clay away from the cutter. Yeah. I was like, it looks kind of lopsided, and then I realized I can kind of move it around and stuff. I'm not gonna do that too much because I don't want to break it. I'm just gonna press these together. Okay, that piece was pretty simple. Now I gotta worry about the top piece. I'm just gonna see if I can press it into the sides of the already baked piece. I'm just gonna add a little bit of liquid clay to the edges just to make sure that the clay is actually secure. Okay, now that the sides are attached to these two pieces, I'm gonna go ahead and bake them again. I'm back, and these are kind of warm, but good enough. I'm gonna try to carefully remove them. Okay, that went well. So I've got some blue paint, and I'm going to paint the outside of the tin. I'm gonna leave the inside silver and the bottom as well. Okay, this is going on pretty good. I don't think I'm gonna have to do a third coat. I want to paint the lid as well, but this top piece over here was touching the tile while it was baking. So it's really shiny and smooth, and the paint isn't really going to stick to that. So I've got some fine sandpaper here, and I'm going to use this to carefully remove this really top layer so that the piece isn't so smooth. Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and paint the lid. So I'm gonna start over here, and then I'll work my way up once this dries. Okay, so I'm not entirely done making the box, but I am gonna stop for a little bit and work on the sewing material that's gonna go inside of here. I'm gonna use some white clay to make a bunch of little spoolies. I think they're called spoolies. Basically, those little plastic pieces that thread is wrapped around. I'm gonna make some basic ones just by rolling out two tiny little circles and then joining them with a little rod of clay. I think this will look a little bit better when the thread is actually on it, so just be patient. Okay, I'm gonna make some flatter pieces. They're like paper or whatever. I think I might just cut out pieces on the sides. That might be too much. Try to make this one a little bit less. Okay, I just finished making a few more of these and they don't look how I was trying to make them look, but I'm just gonna leave them and we're gonna use them. Also, I really want to make a tomato pin cushion. I feel like the only pin cushions I've ever seen in my life are tomatoes. I don't know why. I have the perfect cutter for this, I think. I just need to find it. Not a star, but close enough. And I think it'll be the perfect size. Lives in a pineapple under the sea. I'm gonna try to make this as simple as possible because I don't really wanna... Oh, that's cute. I don't want to make it super detailed because that's more work and I don't want to do more work. For the sewing needles, I kind of want to try using an eye pin. I think they might be a little too big for scale, but close enough. So I'm just going to try to cut this up into little pieces. I'm scared it's going to stab me in the eye. I have no idea where that one went. Okay, I'm gonna cut these a little bit smaller because I'm just not realizing they're really long. Hold on, I'm gonna close my eyes. Okay, now to stab them into the little tomato. I feel bad. I don't want to do that. Okay. Oh. Does that look right? I think maybe the needles really are too big because I feel like it's not super proportional and it's kind of hard to tell what it's trying to be, but maybe it's okay. Maybe I shouldn't add another. Are too many, do you think? I'm gonna add another. Okay, I feel like it's okay. I don't know if it still looks like a tomato, but maybe when it's all put together it'll be obvious what it's trying to be. Real quick, back to the actual tin, I'm gonna do one last thing. Actually, that's not true. There's a lot of steps left. I'm going to give the lid a gold outline using some polymer clay. I'm gonna add some liquid clay so that this actually sticks. Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and add the gold border. Wrap this all the way around. I'm just gonna cut off the excess. Alrighty, that's looking pretty good. Now I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to bake this along with those pieces over there. And yes, I'm about to put this in the oven again, even though it has acrylic paint on it. A lot of people say that you are not really supposed to put acrylic paint in the oven, but I am going to. So don't try this at home, or do. It's not that big of a deal. So in the meantime, I used Photoshop to create a fake image to go on top of the tin. And I printed this out on some photo paper. I thought about using sticker paper, but I was concerned that I might mess it up when actually applying it to the piece and that it would be hard to fix it. So I went with this. So unfortunately, I do not have any kind of hole punch that can perfectly cut these out. So I'm gonna have to use scissors. I'm gonna try to cut one of these out as practice to see if this actually goes well. I don't think it will. I have a few backups just in case this doesn't go well, but I'm gonna do my best to actually cut it out right. Problem is this blue color isn't gonna match the paint perfectly, so if this isn't cut properly, it's gonna show. Oh, listen, I never claimed to be perfect. Take two. Okay, that one actually came out pretty good. Okay, maybe I'm being over the top here, but there's like a white edge all the way around from cutting the paper. I think I'm gonna go ahead and take that same blue paint I used on the tin earlier, and I'm gonna paint the edges so that just in case later on no part of it looks white. I'm gonna have to be really careful doing this so that I don't get paint on the actual image because that was not fun to cut. Okay, I think I'm actually gonna use my finger instead because it's actually kind of difficult to do it with a needle tool. I feel like it'd be easier to not mess up this way. Alrighty, the lid is done baking now. I'm just gonna add a little bit of varnish so that I can seal in the paint. I'm kind of nervous about this part, but now I am going to use a little bit of super glue to attach this image to the front of the lid. Try to do this as fast as possible so that the glue doesn't dry out. Not right now, please. Okay, that didn't fit in as well as I was hoping for it to, but from a distance, that looks good. So, next step. All right, these pieces have baked now, and I already managed to break one of them, but I've got a bunch of thread here, and I'm going to wrap these around the little pieces of clay. Actually, before I do that, I kind of want to see if I can just glue this piece back together. I'm sure it won't be the only one that breaks. Got that on my fingers. The ugliest piece too. I should probably just let that one go. I think I'm gonna use a little dab of glue so that it'll be easier to wrap it around. I don't know how the heck I'm supposed to press it on there. I can't press it on with my finger. That would be a bad idea. Can you guys see anything? Because I can't. I literally broke it. I don't know if you guys see that? It literally fell apart. Before I add thread to the rest of these, I'm gonna add a little bit of glue around the entire middle portion. I'm hoping this will help hold it together so that these pieces don't keep breaking. Maybe I'll add a little bit more stability. Great. Oh no. Okay, I glued this one back together and I'm gonna try wrapping it again. It keeps unraveling, which is super annoying. I think I'm probably gonna have to use more glue to hold the thread in place because this is 100% gonna unravel the second I let go of it. So far, I have glued every single one of these to my fingers. So this is going well. Oh my god. I just dunked my elbow in glue. Alright, my fingers are covered in super glue, but these are now all done. Oh my god, that one wasn't dry. Here they are. They're really cute. So I was going to leave the tin as it is, but I have this really nice chrome paint that I kind of want to use inside on the silver areas. I think it'll look a lot better that way, but I'm super nervous because this paint is really annoying and you got to work really fast before it dries or else it looks really bad, but I'm going to do my best. I can't find a paintbrush. Is this a sign? I think I'm going to try this on the lid first because it doesn't matter as much. So if I mess it up, we'll just learn from this to not do the same for the bottom piece. I'm so scared. I'm so scared. This doesn't look as different as I was expecting, and also the paint is kind of hard to work with if you're using a paintbrush, but I still think I prefer it to the silver clay, so I think I'm just going to go ahead and do the exact same thing for the bottom piece. Paint is all dry, so now I'm going to go ahead and place the sewing materials inside of the tin. Yeah, okay, bye.